Welcome to Socratyc Stories, the women who build. I'm Nicole Allos, founder of Socratyc, and I sit down every week with a woman who's actively building something meaningful for a 15 to 20-minute conversation designed to get the real story that doesn't live in the polished LinkedIn post or edited podcast. And today's guest is Michelle Maraj, a data visualization expert who's passionate about helping people get more value from their data by making it easier to understand, more useful, and of course, visually compelling. And a few months ago, Michelle was laid off. And since then, she's been using this time to build her AI skills, to really think intentionally about what comes next, and to prepare to welcome her second child at the end of September. Congratulations. Before this chapter, Michelle built a career focused on dashboard development with experience across hospitality, technology, rideshare, and consulting. And when she's not making data beautiful, she's giving back by mentoring women in tech through Tech Women and Tech to Empower. Michelle and I also got to know each other through the Lovable She Builds Season 3 community. During the program, she built Snailbound, a male club management platform, while becoming one of the people in the cohort who was always willing to jump in, share what she knew, and really support others along the way. But the project that she's really focused on now got started, I think, before the hackathon, where she's taking the skills and momentum she gained through She Builds and putting them toward Vizibly.Live, which we'll talk a little bit more about. Michelle, welcome to the show, and I'm excited to dig into what you're creating.
No, thank you so much, Nicole, for having me. I'm really excited to be here, and I appreciate the chance to get to talk to everybody. So Vizibly.Live, like you mentioned, it is something that I started on before the hackathon, but when we applied to the hackathon, you have to submit a fresh ideas. I was working on Snailbound during that, but since you learn so much during these hackathons, and especially with She Builds through Lovable, they had that entire week of those sessions and training about, how to, like, what documentation to do before you build your products and how to manage security and things like that. And so I definitely learned so much through the hackathon that I decided to revisit Visibly afterwards and made so many improvements. Vizibly.Live, it's an event activation platform. When you think about personalized event activations, what that means is really getting people excited and willing to share information about your event. So that might be something like a photo booth at a conference, or, you go to these types of meetups and it's like a game where you participate and you get swag and then you share the swag online, right? Now, Vizibly.Live, we are a platform that is a virtual event activation platform. So for an event organizer, somebody who's putting on something they want to be promoted, they build out a survey to generate what we call a data badge. And then the attendee, when they get their data badge, they can then share it on social media. Something else I also think about is like even things like participating in She Builds, you want to promote that you're doing it, right? But with She Builds, it was completely remote. And so you can't go up to the sign and take a picture with Lovable to say that you were there, right? So what you do instead is you have these, virtual images that you can share so you can help connect with who else is participating in the program and to really promote that you did it. So again, Vizibly.Live is that event activation platform where you can create that type of personalized graphic to be able to share with others and connect.
I love that, especially with the fact that there's so many more virtual sessions and virtual conferences, but we still have that need to build community, to connect with each other, and to feel, I think, connected with whatever the topic is or the brand, which is really cool. So why is this in particular important to you?
Yeah, so the way that it's kind of funny because you think when you're building a new product, really you should start with the problem you're trying to solve. But for me, I was really just trying to figure out from a personal perspective what I need to do next. As you mentioned, I got laid off really shortly after finding out I was pregnant, actually. And so I had a kind of career crisis where I was thinking, okay, what am I supposed to do next? I was a Tableau dashboard developer, and I think I'm really good at my job. I think I'm really good at dashboard development, but essentially plateau where I was at. And something a previous manager had told me was, there's never going to be a chief Tableau developer at a company, right? Like there's a lot more you can get with those types of skills. So I was doing a lot of research as into what I would pivot into. And being in the data visualization space, I was always interested in the idea of data badges. And so, again, data badges are usually used for event activations, but historically, people do them in person. And so you go up to a booth, you fill out a survey, and somebody hand draws a data badge, or they put together a button, or they put together a card, or something like that. And I was really interested in that idea, but again, being pregnant, I don't want to go to anything. Like, I don't want to leave my house, right? Like, it takes so much work to get me out. So I was trying to think, okay, this is a cool thing to pivot into, but how can I do this type of work without physically being somewhere? So that's kind of how Visibly was born. I wanted to be able to do it, but virtually. And so I think as far as like where we fit, Visibly, I think of it kind of like a wedding. So when you have a wedding, you can have your live artists there to hand draw all of your guests and give it to them. And that's a really cool way for them to share in your event. But not everybody has, the resources or the space to hire a live artist. So maybe an iPad photo booth is better. What Visibly is, it's kind of like that lower barrier to entry event activation. And so for event organizers, like if you are like you run a meetup or you run training events, again, it's that lower cost activation. So you don't need to bring in a full live artist, a full photo booth, that ability to still drive that connection to your events without having to go to that level, I guess.
So it's like, sounds a lot more scalable, sounds a lot more cost effective. If you have a virtual event, maybe you're already not trying to spend a good amount of time, but I know with our She Built experience, you still want that connection in some way, right? So I think that's amazing. So where are you now with the product and in the process?
Now we are live. The product is available so people can log on, they can build their own badges, and they can get ready for their own events today. And we're really in testing. So really, we've got a couple of both in-person and virtual events that we are testing it at. And the biggest priority right now is to get all the bugs done before I go out and have my baby. So really just making sure. Yeah, exactly. We're really beta testing. I built it originally on Lovable and pretty much used Lovable as I built on Lovable after She Built, continued building on Lovable. But since then, I have migrated to using like Cloud Code, GitHub, Versal Superbase, but learning a lot and still making improvements today.
Very cool. And so what have you learned so far, whether it's with this product or just your whole journey from Tableau until now, that you think might be helpful for other people to learn about?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I feel like the easiest way that I learn is by attempting something. And then when you hit roadblocks, that's kind of where the learning happens because you don't really know what you need to learn until you get there. And so for me, those types of roadblocks were things like I was running through too many Lovable credits and I needed to save money. Or maybe I wanted to like implement an API or implement payment processing. And so for me, I learned how to do those things, but that's because I hit the need of needing to do it for my product. I didn't necessarily go out of my way and say like, okay, how does payment processing work for tools?
Yeah. So the training was like learning and training through doing of a real world situation that you actually have to solve. And you have this time crunch of making sure that it's good to go by a certain amount of time too. So
Exactly.
lots of constraints that you're working through. That's really
And I
cool.
would say even when I was doing Tableau development, it was kind of the same process where I didn't go to school for dashboard development or data visualization. That's just something that, as your job requires it, you kind of learn along the way and you search how to do it as you get to that point, right? So I'd
Yeah.
say, yeah, that's what we kind of learn is what you need as you go.
Do you feel like this sort of like app AI space is an area that you'll continue on, or are you still figuring all that out as to what that next step might be for you?
Yeah, so I would say I am still figuring it out, but getting closer. I would like to stay in the AI space just because I think it's so much fun and it's cool what you can build. Because I mean, yeah, participating in She Builds, I feel like it really just opens your mind to what is possible and what you can build on your own. Whereas before, I feel like I'm a technical person, but I'm not a software developer. Being able to now essentially build my own tools. It's just so cool and so fun. So I would like to stay in the space, but being laid off, we have the reality of I am going to need money eventually. So it kind of depends on like how these different projects take off. Maybe I'll do contract work in the meantime, but that part we're still figuring out.
But it sounds like how things have transpired have brought you to a place where you're doing something that you really enjoy, that you're really engaged in. Do you think that you would have gotten to this space if you were still working in that role, or do you think that brought you to where you are?
Yeah, actually, that's a great question because I do think that being laid off brought me here and I'm really glad that it happened. Because, yeah, I think that with my past job, I wouldn't say that I was scared of AI. I mean, I got laid off because of AI, and that's what everybody's worried about, right? Is getting
Yeah.
off because of these tools. And so I think that that was always something that I was hesitant to push at my last role because I had expectation that, okay, I'm going to build the tools that are going to lay me off, right?
Right,
So
right.
yeah, so there's a little bit of resistance and holding back there. So I am, well, one, glad that I got the opportunity to go through this learning, but I also don't think I would have had the bandwidth to do all of this learning or do all of these hackathons if I was still working at my last job. So
That's
I,
fair.
yeah, I agree that it was probably one of those things that was meant to be, right?
Is this one of those moments or what's happening in in real time? But that's really exciting. So at the end of every podcast, I love to ask, what can the community do to support you and what all of the things that you're building and how can everyone support you through that process? So do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. So I would love beta testers. So if you are somebody who is running events, would really, really like to chat just to kind of see if the product is intuitive, if it's easy to set up, if it's something you would even use. Neat. I mean, I would love people to try building a badge and then use it for their events. But even if you don't have the bandwidth to build your own badge, I would still love to chat with different event organizers who either like have used event activation in the past or would be interested if, you know, the money was right. So, because we're still really making sure that we're validating our market fit right now and making sure that we're targeting the right people, getting it in front of the right eyes, and really just introductions to those types of audiences would be really, really helpful.
Very cool. And then how would people get in touch with you? Would they link in with you? Is there should they visit the website? What would be the best way to connect?
Yeah, so connecting with me on LinkedIn is the fastest, easiest way to do that. So easy to find, and I'm very responsive there. Alternatively, if you are interested in testing Visibly, it's visibly.live is the URL. And you can go straight to their website and you can do a demo badge today. We also have a contact form, but you can always message me on LinkedIn.
Okay, great. Anything else that you want to share that maybe we didn't have the chance to talk about today?
I think the only other thing that I wanted to highlight was I think that it's really fun to be building and building, like building things that you come up with. But something that has really impacted my journey was finding a partner. And so for me, like I'm the builder, but I don't necessarily know how to market. I'm not in contact with as many people in my industry. And so I did find my co-founder, Sophie. She does event activations and working with her, somebody who's been in the industry a little bit more than I have, and is more connected, has been really valuable. So something else that I would like to tell people is that, especially as you're building these tools, if you hit a point where it's like you don't know where to move forward next, or you really just, yeah, essentially you hit like a plateau. Maybe talking to somebody else and bringing on a partner might be the next move to help get you to that
Yeah.
next.
I love that. It's sometimes we feel like I feel like I have to do this alone. Like it's me or nothing. And there's so much you can gain from collaboration and just different perspectives or different networks or something like that too. Was that a bit of a transition for you in terms of, okay, I had been owning this in the past and now I have a co-founder in the mix. Was that an easy transition for you, or were there some things that you had to work through that process?
I think because our backgrounds and the things we bring to the table are different enough, the process where it's very clear to divide, who's responsible for what and how we can support each other. I think it'd be more challenging, for example, if like I found another technical co-founder. I feel like that might, it's because I still get to own building, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think in my case, it's fortunate that it was a straightforward transition where it's somebody else to hold me accountable to make sure I am getting these things done and giving the positive feedback. But it is finding the right person. I think it's really
Yeah,
important.
I love that. And I think being able to, especially like after she builds, like finding a woman
Mm,
co-founder and working on that together, that's really awesome advice. So, well, Michelle, thank you so much for joining me and sharing what you're building with Visibly Live, and as well as what the next chapter looks like for you. Wishing you the very best in September as well. And anyone who wants to make these community asks come true should probably do it sooner rather than later. We have coming up. I'm really excited to see where you're going to take it from here, and we'll include all the links not only in the show notes, we have included it in this video as well. And then you can follow Michelle and learn more about Visibly Live. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll see everyone next time. Take care.